Hello, hello, and welcome back, everybody. This is Best Friends with Benefits. I am Noni.
I'm Kristin.
So, we have been gone for a minute. Before this, we were gone for a minute because Kristen had a whole baby and I bought a home. Um, but this time around, your BFFs or one of us have been going through it, and this is why I love this show, because we bring our lives into this show, and we hope that the situations that we go through, the hardships that we go through, the triumphs we go through, we hope that you guys are along the way and you learn from it, and hopefully maybe somebody out there can relate to this and be saved by this. So let's take it back just a little under a year ago, because my godson's about to be a year old. A little under a year ago, Kristen had the most beautiful baby boy, Oliver Pierre. Um, and I think a lot of moms, our post baby body just goes through so much. We don't know what's normal. We don't know which is at our pace. We don't know what's going on. And Kristen just has, to me, a very unique story, but I feel like once you tell it, there are going to be a lot of people that can relate to it. So can you just kind of take us back after you had the baby, you started to realize that something was going on with your body?
Yeah. And it's a great way you set that up because I didn't know what was going on. Like, I had the baby. My belly was very big. And when I was going to my appointments, everyone was like, oh, you're going to pop right back. Like, you're thin. Like, you didn't gain that much weight. Most of the weight you have is the baby. You're going to lose all the weight right away. And it was all in my belly. So, weeks went by. I had a C-section. So, like, weeks went by, months went by, and my belly was not going down. And I was like, okay, like maybe I should just have grace with myself. Like, I just had a baby. I just
I
had a
told you that
C-section.
too.
Maybe I just gained weight. Maybe I have diastasis recti or whatever this thing is. I'm Googling everything. But it was like, and I kept asking at all of my appointments. I actually went to physical therapy as well because I was like, maybe it's pelvic floor. Maybe it's this. Everyone I talked to was like, you just had a baby. Give grace to yourself. It's going to take time for your belly to go down. Everything, just give it some time. So then I had coffee with my friend, Rebecca Cherry.
Shout
If
out
you're
to Rebecca.
This was 7 months postpartum. And I had coffee with her and she was like, you look great. I was like, no, but look at my belly. And she was like, oh my God, are you pregnant again? I was like, no, I took 5 pregnancy tests. She was like, that's not normal. Like, your belly needs, like, that's not normal. It would be down by now. So I went to the doctor. She's like, you need to go to the doctor immediately. So I went to the doctor the next week. They did a vaginal ultrasound, and at first they thought it was a cyst. They found a 23 centimeter cyst on my left ovary, which is basically the size of a grapefruit.
That is huge, y'all.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, it's a pimple on your ovary. They made it, even then, they were like, it's nothing. You're fine. So, but they were like, we recommend that you see the surgeon who delivered the baby the next day. So that was on a Thursday. I saw him and he was like, this is not a cyst, it's a tumor and it needs to come out ASAP. That was a Thursday. Then on a Monday, I had the surgery, March 13th. They cut me through the same incision as the C section and they took out this massive tumor. They took out my left ovary, my fallopian tube, part of the omentum, and then they were almost done sewing me back up. And they called, while I was intubated, they tested it and the tumor came back borderline. So then they were like, you need to take her appendix. So they had to recut me open, take my appendix. They sent everything to pathology and the appendix came back with cancer in it, a low grade mucinous cancer that was causing this ovarian mass. And everybody, I am like the healthiest person. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I try to really be cautious about what I eat. I work out. Like, the fact that this is happening to me and that it's still not over. Like, I just had a colonoscopy. They just removed polyps. Now that needs to go to pathology. My cancer antigen levels in my blood were elevated. They're not back down to zero yet. It's just like, So that's the story of what happened. But like, if I can help anyone with their lives, it's like, you need to go get checked. Like the fact that if I didn't get pregnant and have a baby, I would never have known that I had cancer in my appendix, of all places. Like, it's just so scary that there are probably people walking around with something that have no idea. I was one of them. And I thought that everything was completely normal because, you have so many appointments when you're pregnant and you get one postpartum appointment and they don't even give you an ultrasound to check out your organs and make sure everything's fine. If they would have given me an ultrasound on one of my postpartum appointments, I would have caught this way earlier. I mean, thank God I caught it when I did, but still, it was huge by the time they found it.
My gosh. And I want you, if you can just go back to when you knew something wasn't right, right? Like you're not only was your belly still big, because a lot of us, our stomach does not go down right away. It does take time, but the feeling of your belly, like you said, it actually felt hard.
It felt hard. And I like, when you breathing, your belly goes in and out. Mine was not doing that. And I can tell you also the other thing that this happened so close to postpartum was I felt exhausted and I just thought it was because I had a newborn and I was up all night breastfeeding or up all night caring for Ollie. So, of course, like I felt there were nights, Stephanie, Noni, I will never get that right. So, there were nights I literally was like, I felt like a truck hit me. And Danny, like I almost fell over a couple nights. Like I was so exhausted, but it was at a level. And I was just like, oh, this is just normal. I just thought it was normal, but it clearly wasn't. I think that there was something going on for weeks. And I really believe, and I have to say, I don't know, the doctor that did the surgery said he didn't see anything on my left ovary when he gave me the C-section, but there has to be, like, I just don't understand how it grew so fast. Like it must have been there growing or small and they couldn't see it or something. I don't know. But I also didn't feel myself, but I also thought it was like postpartum depression. There were times where I would just be crying for no reason. And one night, I remember I was sitting up in bed. This was way before this happened. I was like, what if something bad happens to me? What if I die? Like crazy ass thoughts. And it was probably the cancer. Like it was probably, how we talked about like people that commit suicide is because they had a diagnosis or something like that.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
had those crazy thoughts, like, and I just thought it was all postpartum. I thought it was all normal. So that was the trickiest thing, that I didn't catch it, because if this just happened on a normal day and my belly just started getting bigger for no reason, obviously I would know something's wrong. But because this was postpartum, it made it even trickier to like think that there was something wrong.
Yeah.
Because as a postpartum woman, you've experienced this, all of those things that happen to you, extreme tiredness, like postpartum depression, all of that's considered normal.
Yep, and everybody around you is saying, "Oh, you're fine, it's normal, it's normal."
Right.
For sure. Can you say a little bit about what the doctors told you of, like, if anybody's watching and they're like, "Well, that couldn't happen to me, I don't have history in my family," or da 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 da. Did they give you a reason of why that occurred? Like, what caused it?
I have no history of cancer in my family. None. Not one person ever has died of cancer in my family. So I would never even think to be screened for something like this. And appendical cancer is like 2% out of 100,000 people. It's like the rarest cancer ever. And there's two different kinds. There's a low grade, which mine was, thank God, luckily, and most appendicancer, and then there's a high grade one. But most appendicancers, when you remove it, it's curable. Like you can cure it. And I think that that's what mine is. But now there's this whole other thing. I had to go to colonoscopy. They found polyps and, my elevation. So the doctors were just basically like, the one doctor, my gynecologist that delivered the baby, he's like, "You're fine." He's like, "I know you're fine." He checked my other ovary. He's like, "Go enjoy your life. We got it out. You're fine." But all these levels were still like on the higher side of normal. So I was just like, I still have a concern. And it's because like the fact that, like you just said, there was no history. there's no reason cause for this. Like everyone says, it's just like a bad luck cancer. Like it's a rare, very rare thing. And I would have never caught it if it didn't get, and also that thing that got so big, I would never have known if it didn't get so big and my stomach didn't go down.
It's so wild, and you wonder how many people are out there, especially women that just gave birth, where your body just basically went through a whole entire war zone. You don't know, especially if it's your first one, right? This is your first baby, so you have nothing to compare it to even. And you're asking, every pregnancy is different. So it's just like you don't even know who to ask. Everybody's got a different answer, or you're fine. Even the doctors are not seeing it. I think the lesson here is it's definitely a better safe than sorry. Like if somebody is at home and they're just like, some of those symptoms very, it's been 7, 8 months since I gave birth and my belly still feels hard and I still feel fatigued. There's no harm in just going and getting checked out. Can you tell them like exactly what you want to get an ultrasound? How did they find it at first? What test did you have to get?
So I just want to say what you said though. This was one thing that Instagram was actually helpful for because I was actually looking at moms that just gave birth the same time as me and just had C-sections and all their bellies were flat. And I was like, are they just like, how is this possible? Like one girl had twins and her belly was down. I was like, why is my belly not down? So that was one of the things. It's like, you know how sometimes we say like Instagram, you're comparing, but like that was one of the things that was actually helpful. I would see these people posting in bikinis and I'm like, why is my belly not down? So that was like raising a red flag, like something's off. But I mean, it's really that I had coffee with Rebecca and she actually felt it and she was like, this is not normal, go. And they gave me a vaginal ultrasound, just like, and like the second they put it in, she was like, you have a huge cyst. Like it was covering my whole ovary. And the other thing is that it might have been there while I was pregnant because all your organs get moved around and everything. It might have been hiding behind something and the doctor just didn't see it. Who knows? But yeah, I got a vaginal ultrasound. And then when I went in the next day, he actually did because I looked 8 months pregnant. Before I looked like 7 months pregnant
I
before the
remember,
next
yeah.
surgery. You can post a picture here and you'll see my belly was looked pregnant. Um, and he did an ultrasound on the outside and he saw this tumor. It was a huge tumor. It was huge. Like and that's the scary part. It's like, yeah, like we would not be here if I didn't have that coffee. I literally was like, not, I didn't even know, like, I was Googling things to try to do on my own or like try to figure out why my belly wasn't going down. I
Yeah.
was exercising. Like, I'm surprised this thing didn't burst. Honestly, I was like going to Pilates and Soul Cycle. I had just gone to Soul Cycle that week before I found out there was something there. So that's how crazy this is. It's like if I didn't go to the doctor, we would not be sitting
You were
here
trying to
talking.
live with it. You were trying to order bigger dresses and just
I
like, well,
did.
I
I
guess this is
ordered
it.
all these different size dresses. I ordered extra large pants. I had accepted it. I mean, as I recount this, it's just like, I cannot believe this even happened to me.
Yeah. Well, I commend it's a lot to go through. And I can't believe it's been since March too, the road that you've been on. Can you tell everybody where you are now? Because like, are you considered to have cancer? Did they remove the cancer? I'm sure everybody is going to be asking you, so I don't want to leave people worried. What does the road look like for you now? Where are you now?
So technically, okay, so it's a little confusing. Like cancer is confusing because they removed the cancerous tumor. And the thing on my ovary was also cancerous. They removed that. It was caused by, but I don't have ovarian cancer. They checked my other ovary. It's benign. It's fine. So technically, I don't have cancer, but my blood levels. So there's 3 different blood tests. One is CA-125, which is testing for ovaries. That was elevated at the time of surgery, but and when I got retested, it was going down. So they were like, we don't need to retest this because this wasn't caused. The source of the cancer was not in the ovary. So they don't look at that level anymore. It's called a tumor marker. So then I had another tumor marker, CA19, which was normal. They didn't even, that was, it's like for pancreatic cancer, all of that. Oh, so well, to fast forward, I mean, to go back, I had to get a CT scan to make sure after my surgery that they got everything. And thank God, my doctor said my CT scan was pristine. There was no metastatic cancer, nothing spread to my lymph nodes or anything like that. Everything was in normal range, everything was normal. But my CEA level, this is the level that it's been so scary. So at the time, I never got pre-tested for it, but I got tested for it when I saw the oncologist. And it was, I don't know, a week after my surgery. And it was elevated to 14.2, and the cutoff is 4.7. If you're in normal range, it's from 0, which you would have no cancers, to 4.7. That's considered normal range. And smokers usually have it elevated. If you're a normal woman, the cutoff is probably like 3 or 2.53. So mine was 14.2 a week after surgery. Then it takes time for your blood to replenish itself. So they don't want to test you every single month, but they did test me a month later. After I had my CAT scan, they wanted to test the blood level again. It went from 14.2 to 4.9. It went all the way down. And they look for downtrending, like they want to just see it's going down. So then a month after that, they tested me again and it was 4.4. So it didn't really go down that long, but it is considered normal range because the cutoff is 4.7. And it's so hard to not get in your head about this. But so technically I'm normal, but when I had a colonoscopy actually today, and the doctor said, I want to retest your CEA level to make sure it's downtrending. But he's like, I don't want to test it again. He's like, we just tested it a month ago. Want to give it time to go down again. I want to test you in August. So I have to get the blood test again and make sure that the CEA level is going down. So technically, I'm normal. Technically, I'm in the normal range, but it's still elevated for normal and it still makes me scared. And I did just have a colonoscopy today. They removed 4 polyps from my colon. He said they didn't look cancerous on the sheet. It said benign polyps, and he is not concerned that it's cancer or anything. But he did say today, and this is why I'm in my head preemptively. He was like, have you seen a medical oncologist? Maybe you should see a medical oncologist to be on the safe side. They can do diagnostic tests and see if like this is genetic or any other cancers that you might be predisposition for, things like that. And that just got me in my head because I was like, but you just said I was fine. And now you're telling me I should see an oncologist. So and you got to understand, doctors, they want to cross their T's and dot their I's. They don't want to be responsible for anything. They
Yeah.
want to make sure that they're covering their ass. So I get that. And, but it still gets me in my head. I was like, if I'm fine, then, and if my CT scan was fine, why do I have to go? I have to get another CT scan in 6 months. But so I'm just on surveillance. Like that's what this is right now. I'm doing all the tests they're telling me to do, but I'm under high alert because there was cancer. So I have to be like, wow, I do have good doctors that are sending me to all the places that I need to go to get testing done.
Yeah. And I just feel like, and I said this to you today, I feel like you are fortunate that you found what you found when you found it, so they caught it early. And I can imagine that there are a lot of people that are not getting regular checkups, or that maybe they're just getting physicals. People are not going in and getting scans, or even with women getting mammograms at a certain age. And you just had a colonoscopy today, and the age that you should be getting that is 45. But we know people like Chadwick Boseman that died of colon cancer before, he was even old enough to have to check that out. I just feel like when you get to a certain point, even though we still look very young, our bodies, like, it's just the maintenance of it and making sure that you're taking care of yourself, making sure that you're the same way we have to take our car in every single year for inspection to make sure it's good for the road. Like, some of us go years without ever, if I'm not sick, I'm not worried about it.
Right.
And I think it's maintenance for you. You are hella strong. I am so proud of how you have been handling this. And I hear you, like, just wanting it to be like you go to that doctor's appointment, they're like, you're good for life. You never have to worry about this again. And I don't want you to be discouraged by what the doctor said today. I do feel like that was he doesn't want to, he just wants to cross his T's and
Yeah.
dot his I's to make sure.
Yeah, and I love what you said about thinking of it of maintenance and like really like this is my new reality to like keep myself healthy and well. I I was also discouraged because when I had the first consultation with him, he was like, "Oh, if everything's clear and we don't find anything, I'll see you again in 5 years." And then today he was like, "If this is what he said," and this was the other thing that was like helpful for me to digest. It was like, if I did not know your history and I did your colonoscopy today, I would tell you to come back in 3 years. But because of your history, to be on the safe side, I recommend you come back every year because I have a history technically of it's colorectal cancer.
You need a medical degree to pronounce this
It's
stuff.
considered like appendix cancer is considered colon cancer because it is a part of your appendix. And when they took the appendix out, and they did it through pathology, they found the margins were clears, which means it didn't spread into the colon or anything. And even when they did the CT scan, if it had spread anywhere else, they would have seen that. So even the doctor today, he was like, before the colonoscopy, he was like, if it was anything crazy, they would have seen it on the CT scan. And there was nothing. Like Danny, my husband, he was like, I've never heard a doctor say your scan was pristine like that. He even said, he's like, you don't need me anymore, the oncologist. So I don't know. I'm a little triggered by why he said, oh, you should go to a medical oncologist today to cover your bases. I was like, but if everything's fine, like,
Just to cover your bases. And imagine when you do go there and then you get another clean bill of health, it'll just make you feel better. It's just another step of maintenance for sure.
yeah. But I just never thought this would be my life. It's just so interesting how I've been through all the trials and tribulations of dating and all these things that's happened, my apartment, all this stuff. And then it's like I get the perfect life, like everything I've dreamed of, dream man, beautiful baby in my home, like everything. And then it's like, here's another one for you. Jesus, give me a break.
But listen, we have been friends for like 11, 12 years now. The Kristin that I first met and the Kristin now, the Kristin I first met would not be able to go through what you have been going through this year. So that just speaks to growth.
Yeah.
And I hope that somebody that is listening, if you just had a baby and something's not feeling right, don't get fooled because you go to that one postpartum doctor's appointment. They're like, oh, you look good. They're not really thoroughly
They
checking.
palpate your stomach with their fingers. Like, or they stick their fingers up. Yeah, you're fine. No, check me with an ultrasound.
Be demanding, be obnoxious about it. This is your life. So if you feel like something is off, go get it checked out. I'm going to encourage you guys, make sure that you follow Best Friends with Benefits. Hit us up with your stories. I'm going to fly Kristin's name up again. If you feel like this might be you and you want to hit up Kristin on IG just to have somebody to talk to, absolutely, absolutely. Hit her up, and you never know. It might be nothing, and then you have a doctor telling you it's nothing, or it could be something. So get yourselves checked out.
Yes, and I have great doctor recommendations. Like going through this too is like knowing good hospitals, knowing good doctors, like that's also the key because people that actually really want you to be well, and they will call you at an hour you have a question, like I never thought I'd be like, oh, I'm a cancer survivor, but it's like I am. And my goal in life is to help people. It's like if I can share this story with somebody and get someone to go get an ultrasound or go get checked and go get a scan, like that is my goal in life because like I also feel great now. Like, and I'm sure everything is fine. Like but you never know. Like, you just need to get these tests, as uncomfortable it is. And like getting a colonoscopy is no
All
walk
right, can you
in the
take
park.
us through what that is? How do you prep for one? What happens? What's the
It's
after?
terrible. At first, I was like, this ain't nothing. I've been through so much shit. Like, this is gonna be fine. You first of all, you're on an all liquid diet the whole day. Like, you can't eat any solid foods from the time you wake up till the next morning. So I had to eat broths, I had to drink water, I had to drink apple juice, like, and I'm breastfeeding on top of this. So everything, all the nutrients I'm getting is going to my baby. So I was barely like able to function. So then I was fine. I had to take these 4 laxatives. I'm like, I don't feel anything. Nothing's happening yet. 5 o'clock, they make you drink this solution. It's like Miralax mixed with 2 liters of water. And you have to finish the 2 liters of water in 2 to 3 hours. So every 10 to 15 minutes, you have to drink one whole cup of the solution. And you start shitting your brains out. I mean, you literally, I tried to make this as peaceful as possible.